All right, guys, welcome to the Bleepin Truth. Today we got an exciting show. I want to thank Larry, Ruben, Mark for coming on. Today I kind of want to focus it on street preachers, what it is you guys do. You've been on before, but this time you've provided us with some invaluable footage that really paints a picture of what goes on. And Larry, I want to start off with you. What goes on when you guys go into the middle of, let's say, like a gay festival, like in Mardi Gras, where you know, or New Orleans, where there's people on balconies surrounding you guys, and you guys just go right in there?
Well, we're going in there to preach the gospel. When you preach the truth of God's word, you have two reactions. You have people that accept it and people that reject it. And when you're going into a place where people are glorifying and promoting their sins, such as a Mardi Gras or a decadence, you're going to have, you know, the negative reaction. And that's usually what you see on the videos. Now,
Ruben, on the video we have, you wear safety glasses. Is that
yes,
correct?
I do.
Why do you wear the safety glasses?
It's because I try to take precautions. You know, I understand what pain feels like. I've been beaten before. And so I've had gallons of urine, gallons of beer, spit. You're talking 28 years of preaching in those streets. And so I do take precautions.
So people throw feces and urine at you as well?
They have done numerous things, absolutely. I've seen humanity at its worst out there. And it's not just homosexuals. If any city hosted a fornication pride parade, we'd show up. If they hosted a adultery pride parade, we'd show up. But when you have any type of sin, you're going to have an element of sodomy there. And so we're going to address them as well.
Sodomy, can you be more specific? Homosexual activity?
That's correct. Man on man, woman on woman.
Now, Mark, you're a community activist, and you emailed me a while back that Larry Keffer got arrested. Set that up.
Well, that's not anything new. That's not anything, you know, out of the ordinary. I think Larry was arrested more for violating a city ordinance or going over doing some sort of miscalculating with where his boundaries were at that event. But he's not the only street preacher that's been arrested at an event such as that. He won't be the last. And there were a handful of guys from Georgia that were arrested at the St. Pete Gay Pride event last summer, or this past summer. So, you know, it's funny. I was talking to a few friends of mine before coming on this evening, and you know, this is not a show intended to convert Ruben or Larry, and they're certainly going to be able to have their fair say, and this is a free country. But there's a lot of misinformation that comes from this element, and that's, you know, why I agreed to come on this evening.
So what do you mean you're looking to convert the two of them?
No. They do mean well, and I believe that they believe what they believe. I also believe there's some misinformation involved here and some scriptural abuse, if you want to call it that.
Do you want to give us I see you got the Bible in front of you.
Well, you know, this is actually a Bible that my aunt gave me, or my mom gave me from my aunt. My aunt is the former international president of the Lutheran Women's Missionary League, the LWML, which is a worldwide organization that helps to, it has various missions across the globe, mostly in the southeast, that the Lutheran women pay it's a smite box, and they save those. The women save those. The Lutheran women in the church save that, and they you know, with each woman, female.
What's a smite box?
It's like a box. It's a box to save money. I may have the word smite wrong, because it may be might. Maybe it's a might. Help me out, Larry.
I think homosexuals are used to the word smite personally.
Yeah.
That's been my experience from reading the Bible.
It is a saving instrument so that they can help and contribute to people that are learning about Jesus in parts of the world that Christianity is certainly not the primary religion. So my aunt gave me this Bible, and you know, this is a conversation that I have a lot with people. I had a chance to show my mom the last time I was on the show. I bring my mom up because my mom is a huge sounding board for this conversation regarding Christianity, religion, and homosexuality.
What does she tell you about it?
Well, you know, my mom has, you know, been aware of the fact that I'm gay for quite some time. She's met all my friends. She's had an opportunity to see that we live our lives just like everybody else does. Now, there are elements of the gay community, just as there are elements of the straight community that don't live in the greatest of light when it comes to being good people, maybe even being good Christians. So you're not going to be able to ostracize one group or the other here. But in the Bible, it's very clear what it says about a lot of things. There are a few passages in the Bible that talk about sodomy, that talk about same-sex attraction. Now, the word homosexuality did not become a word in the vernacular of our language, of the English language, until the late 1800s, during the time of the Oscar Wilde hearings in the Oscar Wilde trial in the United Kingdom.
Okay, so let me just cut to the chase. Do you think that they're misguided in their representation
I think they
of
mean well.
Christianity?
I think they mean well. I mean, anybody that's trying to talk about Jesus Christ and is trying to bring people to Christianity, I think, you know, that's a good thing, okay? But there are good ways of doing it and then there are bad ways of doing it.
So you think they go about it the wrong way?
Well, you know, I've seen Larry, you know, and I haven't met Ruben before, but I've seen, and I'm familiar with, I haven't been to Southern Decadence, but I've been to New Orleans and I've seen all that craziness, you know. But I think there's good ways of doing things and I think there are bad ways of doing things.
Do you think they should be allowed to do what they do right down the middle of a public street?
You know, I don't have a problem with them being there. The problem that I have with their activism, Chris, is that they use amplified sound, and it's disruptive, it's abusive. It's soon to be a big problem in the city of Tampa with all the residences that are going up in the city. That will not be allowed after probably the spring of next year. But Larry has every right to speak his piece and to say whatever he wants to say about anything. But it's the amplified sound element that is really unfortunate.
Well, what's the issue with the amplified sound? You guys use bullhorns to get the message out, and what happens?
Yeah,
and what you're doing is you're competing with the noise. When you have massive noise,
like street traffic and
absolutely, and also in Decadence during Mardi Gras, it's like trying to have a you could not have a conversation.
There is a lot of music that goes on, and there's a lot of noise, but there are events that
by virtue of the buildings, you've got a lot of echoing. It's almost like standing behind a jet and having a conversation. And so you need the amplification. You want to compete with the same noise.
In that environment, I understand that. In that environment,
oftentimes at a parade, at a rally, we're given a location, and oftentimes they put us right next to a stage. Well, they're trying to drown us out. So we're trying to compete with the noise, and so we'll use the megaphones. And we keep it at a low volume. But, you know, unfortunately, when you do have a lot of homosexuals together, it is not a very nice picture. These guys are going at it in the street like you wouldn't believe. There's nudity. There is an incredible amount of sin. It is one thing to see a fellow like this trying to present their way. You put 500,000 of these same people in the streets, and you're going to see some action like you've never seen before. You'll understand why God calls them an abomination in the Old Testament and a reprobate in the New Testament. And if Luther, your grandmother's church, were to be alive today, he'd be standing with us against you in this fashion by trying to balance out the teeter-totter. And we're using the amplification just simply to try to keep up with the noise. And unfortunately, they like to play the loud music to do their dancing, to remove their clothes, and to do their shaking. So we have to compete with that. That's the only reason we're using the amplification.
Do you have something to say?
No, they're just competing with clothes being removed. I want to know how they're doing that. I mean,
well, there's more than just clothes being removed. Like you said, you've never been a Weekend of Decadence.
But I know all about it, though.
I mean, Ruben, you know,
I know all about it.
It's been almost shut down because of the actual intercourse there in the street.
It's very graphic.
It is incredibly graphic.
Yeah. Straight people have sex in public, too.
They don't have parades. When you've got an actual event...
You've never been to Berlin.
When you've got an actual event... Well, no, we live in America.
In Brazil.
Well, I live in America. I can only deal with America, you know. But when you got an event called the Weekend of Decadence, you invite guys like...
Hey, Ruben.